This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
I guess to start out with, I want to know where your consciousness of film music began and how you entered that realm.
It all started with a movie my friend Giorgio Moroder did back in the 70s, which was Midnight Express. And this was more or less the beginning of the relationship of Giorgio and myself working on this movie. I was working in another studio first out of Munich, and he had his own studio, the famous Musicland studio. And one of these days he called over and said, "Would you be interested in working with me?" And I was thrilled that he called, because he was big already. And they called me over to Musicland Studios, and he said, "I'm working on a movie. Could you help me?" And I said, "Sure, I can." And that's how it all started. And it was Midnight Express. It was a beautiful score. He even got an Oscar for that.
It's a gorgeous score.
This was my first introduction to film music.
Well, tell me about Giorgio, because I've admired his music as well for so many years, and you're absolutely right. Midnight Express is a gorgeous score. What was that collaboration like? What was he like?
You know, Giorgio is a genius. Giorgio is a great composer. Giorgio is a great producer, and Giorgio is maybe not such a great engineer, but he always tried to do everything at a time. And back in these days, it was not so common that you were skilled in doing orchestrations, in playing, in producing, in engineering. This was all a matter of mancraft. You had like 4 guys for that. You had an arranger, you had a producer, you had an engineer, and you had musicians. Today it's totally different. Today everybody does everything, But back then this was like a novelty. So I'm trained classically, and I'm trained as a sound engineer as well. So I had all these things bundled together in a pretty unique form at that time, and I could help him a lot, because he was with his genius. We always said he had bent needles. It was that all the multi-track machines were by far distorted and everything, but he had good ideas. There was an orchestra. And me coming in, doing a big comedy with Eddie Murphy, with just like little synthesizers and things like this, stirred up some confusion in the studio. They said, "Well, you can't do this. You need an orchestra. Where's the orchestra?" And it was in the beginning, like I said, it was a battle, because nobody really liked what I was doing. And then there was Marty Brest, who from the beginning on said, "I think that's the absolute right way to go for in sound-wise with this movie." So I had a big supporter, and then since having Marty Brest on the case with absolutely it was from then on it was rather easy to get Bruckheimer and Simpson in the boat.
Yeah.
In order for you to work in the studio setup we had, so it was always a long process that you had to wait. You composed a piece of music. They had to build a reel. They had to put it against the picture. They had to show it to the director, and they liked it or not, and they commented it, and then maybe you got a new cut. They had to transfer it to video again, and all that thing backwards. So you had a lot more time to do things. Today, it's totally different. Today they're sitting on a computer. They edit the song at the movie on a computer, and they shoot it onto a server, and you download it on a server, and the next minute you start to work, and the director is wondering where's the music, and you haven't even started,
Yeah.
It's so fast,
And so,
and if they have a new cut, and you're working on a piece of music, and there's a new cut, you get like a heads up from your music editor saying, "Wait a minute, we have a new cut in a minute," and the new cut's coming, and you just turn around everything again, and then everybody expects that you are finished in a couple of minutes, So
yeah.
it's very stressful somehow.
Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. Jacked Up Review Show.
Introducing once again, Jonathan Mark.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, radio voice man. So, talking about a German composer and musician known as Harold Faltermeyer. You know him for the, legendary themes to Top Gun and Beverly Hills Cop. Because, let's be honest, they still play on the radio even though there's no lyrics.
To this day.
Yeah. So I knew he was in the music scene. I had no clue that for the longest time, that a bunch of his movie soundtracks weren't available for a while, let alone. But I knew he was working with music artists. I just didn't know who. But so many people: Donna Summer, Patti LaBelle, Bonnie Tyler, Falco, and even Pet Shop Boys, most notably. So I'm just like, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. He knew so many different instruments and everything.
Even like Billy Idol as well.
That was very surprising. I was just like, okay, yeah. It's just... And hard to believe that a lot of his soundtracks weren't available for the longest time. I mean, I saw that... Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, especially like Tango and Cash, which took years to finally come out.
Tango Cash, Running Man, and just even a bunch of other recent movies I had no idea. But yeah, those are two giant ones. So I'm like, okay, so for the longest time, if you wanted to listen to it, you basically had to have the movie on.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got some good ones. So his first run in the door with Jerry Bruckheimer was Thief of Hearts, which is a fun, crime thriller. Did that the same year as once again as Beverly Hills Cop, but that came later. But this apparently got a worst musical score Razzie nom, and I'm like, yeah, no, anything. But this was for Giorgio Moroder, I guess, because he composed some original music that was in it. That's weird.
I guess so.
It's a decent heist film. Not memorable, but not awful. And but the score gets you in the mood. And he worked originally as an arranger on for Alan Parker's Midnight Express and Paul Schrader's American Gigolo and Adrian Lyne's Foxes. So I'm like, okay, so he's up to an interesting start there. And it's kind of wild, though, how he was able to get so many other artists who he was working with onto his soundtracks. Like, he got Bob Seger's, Shakedown onto the Beverly Hills Cop 2 soundtrack. I will say, he would have made a big difference on Part 3. Not that it would really matter, but I'm just saying. And it's even wild how he's got all these other just obscure, like, other German films that no one's heard of, like Fire, Ice, and Dynamite, which is a hockey movie of some sort.
I never heard that one.
Although it's so bizarre because it's like an action movie with like terrorists and everything and sports stuff, and so it's just like, and I was like, why does this look like Roger Moore? I'm like, oh, because that is Roger Moore.
I was about to say that. Is that Roger Moore? Oh,
tycoons, children, and creditors compete for his money in an athletic contest. Okay.
Okay. That's an interesting premise. That's what I'll say.
That's just bizarre. Well, so other than that, he also did Cuffs, which I know you're a huge fan of, Christian Slater.
Mm-hmm.
And he did, surprisingly, a lot of fantasy video games. He will be returning to score Top Gun 2 with Hans Zimmer. Two Germans think alike, and I don't remember the score to Cop Out, but then again, I don't think any remember the movie.
Let's make sure it stays that way. I try to forget it, so I'm not sure it stays that way.
Funny how that works. So
It's funny. It's the one film I haven't seen that he composed. And I know people will be shocked when I say this. I've never actually seen either Fletch movie he composed.
I've seen it, and as much I can understand the vacation movies, I never really understood those. As it just was always for me. Just don't get me wrong. I know there's many fans out there. I don't know why they love it. To me, it was always poor man's Police Academy, Naked Gun. But for those who love it, all the more power to you.
Yeah, it's always one of the few films. Like sometimes I'll watch it, sometimes I won't. I'm not sure.
It was what it was. So overall, what is it about his style, other than kind of doing light synthwave and electronic music?
That's interesting, because that's what makes him, I think, so unique, unlike other composers, is that it's mostly comprised of synth scores.
It's definitely not as heavy as Tangerine Dream.
Oh, that's definitely true.
Yes, but it's up there somewhere.
He manages to add like an extra layer to his scores, unlike Tangerine Dream, which, at least in my opinion, tend to almost sound the same sometimes.
Well, yeah. I mean, in one time, I was enjoying them so much, I almost went to sleep while I was in my car. It was like, This is not good. I better stop listening to these guys because it's a rainstorm coming up.
They may crash your car.
Well, and it's a company car, so that wouldn't have been good either.
I know.
Yes. So overall, he does have the right amount of catchiness and energy in the room. Doesn't get as, say, robotic or repetitive like others that I've listened to. Overall, though, he is kind of, I guess you could say, a free hit wonder, and yet those movies themselves are kind of like 5+ movies because they're such agreeable crowd pleasers. So,
yeah.
But at the same time, I guess, in all fairness, movies were just kind of, it wasn't what he was aiming for. It just kind of came to him. So at the same time, it's like, okay, well, he made use of it and then went back to doing what he was doing before, where he was working with a bunch of record labels.
That's true.
I guess what I would have liked to have seen might have been just some more. I mean, I wonder what if he had composed, say, Chariots of Fire versus Vangelis. That would have been interesting.
That would have been like an interesting score.
No telling. So, altogether, I mean, I don't have any complaints. I think he's very fun and engaging. What I would have liked to have seen might have been just, I don't know, just a little more spontaneousness, but I can't say he didn't have a fun run while he was out there.
Now he has a good run. If he wants to keep going, he can, but it's his choice.
Totally.
I would love for him to, but it would be interesting. That's all I can say.
What a shoulda, kinda, coulda been. Overall, about his legendary scores, do you think the Top Gun one stands out more, or the Beverly Hills Cop one?
I've always think the Beverly Hills Cop one stands out more.
This is a bit of a more wild scramble.
Now, I love the Top Gun score, but I mean, it doesn't help if he does incorporate one certain song into a scene that don't take my breath away, which I never liked that song to begin with.
I mean, I'll listen to it,
now,
but it's
so-
not going to be on my playlist.
No. I listen to the music, but not the lyrics. That's the one little aspect I'm not a fan of, but that's it. The rest of it is pretty great.
I will say the Tango and Cash score sounds differently midway through, halfway of the movie, and that's just because of the reshoots and everything, but it's always one of those things you didn't really notice until, like, rewatch.
That's true.
Ah.
I mean, I still enjoy the score overall, especially from him.
I'm really surprised that, he worked with Idol and a bunch of these other guys. ABBA makes sense. I noticed some similar acoustics, so I was like, okay. Especially when he starts out, but I didn't realize, I had known he had done a lot of record stuff, but I didn't realize how influential it was.
It's definitely interesting seeing the ones he did. Like doing Donald Summer and Lord Brannigan. I find it fascinating.
Totally. Totally. Altogether, it just would be interesting to see just what got him going, what made him just decide, hey, I'm going to try all these kinds of movies and everything. Can't really seem to find much of that other than that someone was listening clearly to a bunch of music and
Clearly.
he was the one.
Well, he might have gone along with the directors. If he got to meet them,
Yeah.
that might be one thing.
Definitely not
Yeah.
robotic like you would think he might be, There's plenty of others where it's just like, yeah, you're great as pop music, but you're not adding anything to the movie's essence. So somehow he got by. He just he gave you a bunch of the feel and so forth. So, but yeah, no, just a fun kind of quick trip.
Fun trip overall.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast wrecks and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening. It's a jacked up